This is the Siemens Videocord FM-391 VCR. It's a nice VCR that I found at the dump. Before we take a look inside, let's take a look at the features. We have eject, on or standby switch, stop, rewind, play, fast forward, pause, record, a button called OBR, which also has a light right here. I don't know what that means. Then all kinds of knobs for setting the timer and for setting the clock. At the moment it's not set. It says it's 8888. We have the TV channel selector, a down and an up button, and right here we have a couple of numbers. As you can see, this has 12 presets, which, well, are useless now because, well, they turned off the analog television, so you can't receive anything anymore. Up here is the tuner, where you set the tuner. We'll take a closer look at that later. Down here we have some more buttons. We have a tracking regulator right here, a selector for auto, PAL, and well, it says DDR reception. It means that in this position you could receive the television of the GDR, which was, I believe, SECAM television. So in that position you could receive SECAM programs from the GDR. And then we have right here the timer, off and on. Has also a light. There you can see. Starts flashing. Right here we have, well, of course, we have a remote control sensor, but I don't have the remote control. A light for a cassette. Then that weird OBR light. A dew light. And, of course, the slot for the cassette. On the back side we have the inputs and outputs for the antenna, a channel selector, and a test signal generator, on and off. Right here we have the inputs and outputs, video and audio in, and video and audio out. And right here we have a selector switch, where you can select if you want to record something off the built-in tuner or from the external input. I think it's kind of stupid to put that selector on the back side, but for whatever reason they did it like this. This is the inside of the Siemens Videocord FM-391, and you can see it's really full, packed with circuit boards, and it even still has a real transformer instead of one of those switch power supplies. Really nice construction. After taking out 2 screws, this circuit board goes up like this and then stays up there. Really nice construction. And then you have a shielding plate on top of the heads. I took that off right now so that you can see the mechanism. But first, before I forget to show you, this is the thing for tuning. You have, for each of the 12 channels or presets, you have a super small dial and a selector knob. And in the cover, which of course I don't have right now, you also have some kind of a mini screwdriver, which helps you to use these switches. You can select between UHF, VHF high, and VHF low. So 3 selections. And then for these you have your tuning knob right here. And I can zoom in further. You have this little dial, and when you turn this, you can see how the dial changes. The battery of the camera is empty, so I have to hurry and get my charger. There it goes. This is the mechanism. You can put in a cassette. and press play. This machine, sometimes it has a problem. It doesn't want to start the head drum, and then it just goes back into the stop mode. So if you press play, the head drum doesn't start spinning, even though the tape is pulled out of the cassette. And, well, then it goes back into stop mode for some reason. Very weird. Can fast forward. Picture search. Spins a little bit faster. Play. Review. Back to play. Pause. And back to play. Then stop. And fast forward. As you can see, during fast forward and rewind, it takes the tape away from the heads, which is really nice. Stop. And rewind. And play. Stop. And eject. Sometimes eject doesn't want to work. Maybe I have to lubricate these gears there. When I got this VCR, I had to replace the rubber of this idler wheel. You can see this idler wheel right there is a motor, and this idler wheel transfers the motion from that motor to either the supply reel or the take-up reel. And the original rubber on here was absolutely hard, so the machine wasn't able to do anything because it couldn't turn supply reel or take-up reel. And this is the underside of the Siemens VCR. You can see the head drum and the capstan are already direct drive. This is the motor which we've seen before that drives the take-up and supply reel. And this motor here, using a couple of belts, which I think are still pretty good, drives the mechanism that pulls the tape out of the cassette. I have a cassette loaded, and surprisingly enough, this works upside down, as you can see. Now, you can see the head drum refuses to spin again. Like I told you before, it doesn't want to spin, and so it goes back into the stop mode. Maybe it doesn't want to spin because it's upside down, but maybe it's also that problem this has. Already tried to, tapping stuff or, searching for loose contacts, but maybe it's an electronical problem. I don't know. But you can see how it works, how it loads the tape and unloads the tape. And I just fixed the problem with the head drum that doesn't want to spin. After some further experimenting, I found out that the problem was caused by some bad soldering joints, which you can see right there. The soldering joints are connecting the cables from the head drum to the main circuit board, and I have them redone, and now it's working again. Now, this unit was not made by Siemens. Siemens used to make their own radios in like the 1920s until the 1960s, but since the 70s all the hi-fi and video electronics were made by somebody else. they were bought in Japan or somewhere else. And I'm really sure that this VCR was actually made by Sanyo, because it has this label right there, and it's the only name in the whole unit. So I'm really sure this was made by Sanyo in 1985.